get started with pursuing your dreams, Obviously, that's not my idea or a big idea, but of any time in human history is now, the best time, to be building whatever you have in mind and become an entrepreneur. It's by far the single best time.
Divot.
This episode is brought to you by Delve and Pulley.
Today, we're here in San Francisco in the home of Niko Bonachos, one of the most respected early-stage investors in Silicon Valley. He was a managing director at General Catalyst for 15 years, and he's invested in some of the most iconic companies like Snap, Discord, Remote, ClassDojo, Mercor, and a portfolio representing over $30 billion in combined value. He's backed founders who started with bold ideas and relentless conviction. Originally from Greece, he earned a Fulbright scholarship to Stanford University, continued his graduate studies at the University of Cambridge, and he's dedicated his career to backing technical builders who others have overlooked. Founders shaping the future before the world realizes it. Hope you enjoy it. What was the cultural difference between Greece and Palo Alto?
I mean, Greece, and immediately before I was actually in the UK, we're part of the Western, world. So there were not that many, major cultural differences, but everything, of course, was bigger in size. And compared to Greece, probably was a lot cleaner because in Greece we have like public universities and we don't respect public space as much, as people do in other Western countries, like in the US and the UK. And yeah, because so well funded. Like at least during my time here in the Bay Area, the last 15 plus years, Stanford, whenever I show up, it has changed quite a bit. Like there's always a brand new building, or the ones I took courses at, they basically don't exist there any longer.
Do you think the mindset of Stanford is it an entrepreneurial mindset? Is it intellectual? Like what is is Silicon Valley reflective as Stanford as well, and vice versa, or is it different?
I think these two are like very much, part of the very same, ecosystem. It's like saying, can you be human, if you have, feelings, but you also, don't have a brain. Like it's a very much, intertwined, like part of the same ecosystem.
Yeah.
Because they help, each other become what we know them as today. So yeah, what was amazing at Stanford was that spirit of entrepreneurship. This is like really, really amazing. And sky was the limit. And I showed up at a time when social networking was really happening. I showed up at a time when the mobile app ecosystem was taking off. And everyone and their mother were building a mobile app, which was like stunning period of time, especially for a young person to show up from a different universe to try and do something, there. So by the time I showed up, I lost my interest in academia. And like everyone else, on campus, tried to build a social networking startup. Of course, we're like quite a few years, too late. And the beautiful thing about Stanford also is that there are days that you have more venture capitalists on campus than what you have as students. And I met quite a few of them, and one of them, gave me a chance and invited me to join the venture capital industry. This guy is Chris Farmer from SignalFire. And the two of us joined GC as GC was getting started in California in 2000, and 10, 11.
What was your social network about?
It was alongside some of my course mates, we tried to build a social network for LinkedIn power users. Yeah. So if you recall at that time in that 2009, 2010 era, it was when, Facebook had opened up its platform. And everyone could build apps and can do whatever they wanted with the user's data. It was like an amazing, amazing time.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn was like, well, we're going to do something different. We're, of course, going to open up our platform, but we're going to be a lot more, restrictive with how developers are going to be using the data.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, okay, if everyone's building on top of Facebook, let's differentiate and try to build on top of LinkedIn. But little did we know that because we couldn't have access to the data the way we wanted and do whatever we wanted with it was pretty restrictive. So it basically, wasn't great news for our growth. But the idea was to help LinkedIn power users to connect with others more easily, that LinkedIn back then really hated, to help them promote whatever, they were trying to sell to their network, which there wasn't a forum, for that stuff on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then help them with like LinkedIn SEO, SEM, because for somebody who was spending all this time on the network, they want to be a lot more visible. So that stuff eventually became, what we know now as the creator economy. But back then, even we ourselves, didn't know how to choose, these words, to describe our stuff.
Yeah, I had a social network at that time too, of course. As you said, everyone did. And mine was, it was, so frustrated because LinkedIn was so different then. And it was really, it was not a great place to be. It was like you're getting spammed constantly. It's like, they really evolved, in the early 2010s, but basically you could plug in your Twitter and your Facebook and your LinkedIn, and we would find like all the common threads you would have with somebody, the people you knew, the things you both liked, and then you could kind of build a relationship that way. And the thing that we didn't realize would happen, which is that when we started, LinkedIn had like 50 million users. And by the time I ran out of money, they had like 150 million. Like it didn't slow down at all. It was just like compounding. And it is interesting that people that are looking for ideas often kind of just gravitate into the same space. Why do entrepreneurs who are searching for ideas, searching for problems, why do so many kind of end up in the same pool of idea? Because it happened with social networking. As you said, it happened with mobile apps. It happened with Groupon. Everyone had a Groupon startup for a while. Everyone had a ride sharing startup for a while. And here we are with AI. And in some ways, like every startup is now AI.
Yeah, I mean, especially in places like San Francisco, this is happening, right? Because you have the clustering of talent, the clustering of ideas. And there are certain things where it feels like, the time is really now. You see some early movers who are having a lot of success. You see the venture capital dollars, flowing towards those early leaders, and people are like, okay, look, if those guys can do it, I can do it better. That's one of the magical things about Stanford too. Let me go and show them I can be much better at execution. And it goes from there. Of course, if everyone is doing something, because I learned, and probably you learned, with the social networking stuff in 2009, 2010, probably are a few years too late,
Yeah.
And this, of course, applies to early stage investing too. If you want to do, amazing work as a seed investor, you probably need to be investing in people, ideas, and markets before there are consensus, markets. Like if a deal is really hot, probably it's too late, to do a seed round, because it means, it's been priced out, already. But yeah, that's the magic of Silicon Valley. Often you see 10 companies or 20 companies go after a space, and the survival of the fittest that really, can go the distance.
Are most of the earliest builders, is their first idea the idea that ends up being successful in your experience? Or because you're saying like you have to be contrarian to what everyone else is wanting to do. Are the people building those, are they building the thing that ultimately is successful, or does it end up kind of evolving into something else along the way and you just invested in smart people?
Which, everyone I were to meet, their first idea would be the one that really works. Most often it's not the case. And I spent the vast majority of my time investing in technical founders who are the customers of their own products. Many of them are like immigrants. Many of them are like first timers. But yeah, like they realize that this initial idea is not the right one for many reasons. The timing is not great, or the market opportunity is not as massive as they thought, or frankly, as they're building this idea, they hear from their customers or early users that this is really cool, but I would actually like something else, even more.
Yeah.
And then if you work with like very technical founders, it's very easy for them to jump from one idea to the next one because they can build it, really, really quickly. Most often, it's not the initial idea that works.
What have you seen with the energy moving to San Francisco over the last couple of years? It was originally, you were in the South Bay too, down near Palo Alto. There was this sort of, it's historically been sort of in the south part of Silicon Valley. Then energy moved up here. Then COVID happened, and it seemed like the whole city just kind of everyone evaporated. And then post-COVID, there's now like this boom happening. How have you looked at that versus other places around the United States or the world of where the sort of the energy is with AI and with startups?
it's a very special time right now to be in San Francisco, especially if you're building technology, trying to sell it to other tech companies. If you're in your 20s, your 30s, you want to be part of the AI revolution, or just get into tech more broadly, because this is now the largest, industry and the one that can raise the standard of living for all of us. It's a great time to be here. And it's like, wow, what a difference, vis-a-vis, as you said, 2020, 21, 22, that San Francisco was a very sad place. Like many of the tech workers left, the city was like poorly run, crime, showed up. But now it's like better than what I ever, remember it, to be in the city. So it's very similar to like 2009, 10, 11, 12, when young millennials were coming here to build social networks or build like, mobile apps. And they felt free and sky was the limit and liberating, and they could put an app in the app store and could get like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of users, for free. You're having the same stuff now, with AI. The difference now versus then is that actually all the cool, large AI companies now were started from day one, in the city. So OpenAI, they've been in the city, Anthropic, they've been in the city. So like now many of them have like thousands or tens of thousands of employees. And those people, as soon as they, decide to do something new, they probably, will stay in the city.
I've heard you say that for a while there was some momentum in New York, and there was like kind of building. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so New York is also a very special place. So probably the second most important tech startup ecosystem in the US. There was a moment in 2021, 22 when New York was doing really awesome. Why is that? Because they recovered, much faster from COVID, and for young people who want to be free, connect with others, meet other people, in real life. New York, rebounded much faster, whereas here in the Bay Area, everyone was wearing a mask. The meetups were not happening, offline. I remember I hosted like a meetup in like the second half of 2021, and so many people showed up. Some folks here in the South drove from 2 hours far away, and I was like, whoa, thank you, I'm honored, you did that. Oh, because the first, like invitation I've gone for like a business, networking event after like, 2 years. In New York, all that stuff was really happening. But then ChatGPT launched in November 2022. And the rest, is history. Anyone who was building software to be sold to other startups and tech companies, as well as, the brand new possibilities, that emerge, with this new tech, invited everyone to come back here. So like there was a moment in 2021, 2022 that more seed stage startups were funded in New York City than in the Bay Area. But then quickly the tides turned in 2023, 24. And that's why you started seeing population of San Francisco, the city rise, first time in 2024. That's why you started seeing people complain about rent in 2025. And now people are saying that real estate, finally, could go up because there have been secondary transactions as well.
You were one of the first investors in Snap. What first got you excited about what they were working on? And I mean, it was extremely early, probably way before almost anybody had even ever heard of it. But what were the indicators that led you to believe that this could be an important company?
The founder, was like very unique in many ways. And he was saying stuff that at the time was controversial or just, like very interesting. So he was saying, I want to make everyone, feel happy when they use my product. Like I want to have them smile. I want all the data to disappear, which is very controversial because part of the Facebook pitch back then, as they were becoming massive and they were the emerging, platform company, was that we know everything about our users, and this was an amazing.
We're going to monetize off of it.
Correct, yeah. And the other thing that all of us, including ourselves, when we're building, like our social networks, many people were building on top of Facebook. So it was that idea of Facebook login, if you remember.
Yeah, sure.
And everyone was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So he had all these, ideas that made him be very different. And he was just obsessed with like making the fastest camera app out there for your mobile phone. He even thought that the native camera app was very different. So like, this is what was attractive, to GC, my partners and myself. We started spending some serious time with him and then had good momentum. Mostly, young girls were using it. 80% of the early users were young teenage girls. And most guys were thinking, especially older guys, investors, are like, oh, this is like disappearing photos. What could go wrong? Sexting. But if you have 80% of your users, big girls, clearly they weren't using it, for that. Retention was looking pretty freaking awesome. So we ended up investing as part of the A and part of the B.
What about jumping to Discord? You were one of the earliest investors in Discord. What did you see that was unique from them with what they were doing?
Over there was just the founder too. So we invested in the founder when he was getting started. Again, this was when I was part of GC as well. So Jason was a successful founder. He had started a gaming company before that he sold to a Japanese larger gaming business. So he and I ended up, like commiserating about doing business with like large Japanese companies. So whenever he was ready, to do something new, we knew that we would be very, very excited to explore the possibility.
You kind of teed it up because you knew who he was, you knew his track record,
right.
And you kind of had conversation with him.
Totally.
When you're ready to do something else, I want to be involved.
Absolutely. And it was at the time when the iPad was becoming, like successful consumer device. And Jason was thinking, oh, because a lot of people now have iPads, the screen is larger, probably they will be able to play games and have some like, like core games become successful for the iPad crowd. This just didn't play out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because it was much harder, like to have your fingers and become really skilled.
I made an iPad game too, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Did you pivot to
all these things?
Discord or something?
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, it's funny. This like, you go down these paths and it's like, this seems like such a great idea. This is going to work. Everybody's going to love this thing. And other smart people are also doing the same thing.
Yeah. So you get validation and excitement and energy, from each other. And yeah, whenever distribution, is easier, because back then, the installed base was growing really quickly, similar to what you're saying about the LinkedIn story.
Yeah.
Then it's rising tides, right? So you feel like you're succeeding, even if you're being left behind, vis-a-vis whoever the winners are.
Yeah.
So that company actually raised 3 rounds, a seed round, a Series A round, a Series B round to build this game. But then, didn't have much success. And then they said, okay, there's that other product, that gamers use to play games, and it's, it's Curse, but there's also GChat and there's Skype, and we love playing League of Legends and chat with our friends in parallel. Let's build a better version of that. They did that in 2015, 3 years later, and the rest is history.
I mean, you're meeting with thousands of entrepreneurs over the course of your investment career. Maybe you're getting thousands of emails a year from different people. You love it?
It's an honor. Yeah, freaking love it.
I do know.
The more the merrier.
I do know, actually, you are known as somebody who does respond and answer people that you don't know, that you do, like, you do have your doors open. It doesn't mean you're investing in everything, but you are known as somebody, and I know of people that you don't know that I know them, but just random people who are emailing you, who are reaching out, and you are reading and answering those things. Most people are not like that. So how are you open to any idea, anything coming at you, but also like not getting so overwhelmed and still being able to be selective for the very best things?
Yeah. I do believe that talent is universal while opportunity is not, and incredible ideas can come from anywhere, and incredibly talented people can come from anywhere. And I've benefited from like folks who didn't know me that I cold emailed them, and over time they became mentors of mine. They gave me job opportunities. They just gave me a chance. And then I tried, of course, my hardest to make them look good. So I do believe, that in a world where like now Silicon Valley is a mindset. In a world with AI, you can build brand new things. In a world where, the internet has become like the global culture. And if you are, let's say, somebody younger, first timer, you are able to speak TikTok or do nerdy things on X, and you put something out there really quickly and it can catch fire. Those people can come from anywhere. And the more sparse the resume, frankly, the better it is.
Why is that?
Because if, you go and they have a LinkedIn and they went, to the best schools, they worked at notable companies and 3 of them left, everyone can reach out. But I'm freaking dying, to receive text and email, whatever, from somebody who says, I'm 16 years old or 23 or 27, and I've been doing these things for my whole life. I'm obsessed. I think I know something or have something. Nobody pays attention to me. Can you give me, a listen? And I jump on a phone call with many of them, every week. So I'd love to meet 15, 20, founders every week. That's how I learn. That's how I feed my intellectual stimulation. And yeah, with some of them end up working. And it might be the beginning of a conversation too. It might be not now, not this idea, be 1 or 2 ideas or 1, 2 companies, later too.
Yeah. And what are those things that like get you to kind of lean in on? So you're saying somebody that says they're obsessed with something.
Yeah.
Somebody that's maybe got some unusual momentum or organic momentum in something, like they have no following and yet all of a sudden people are following them for this thing. What else? What
are they technical? Like, because, if you're technical and you can build something for yourself, normally you have better intuition than like if you were to be a business person who's building something for other people. Do you have a team? Like, that's one of the big ones, like, because if you have a team, especially of other technical people, often, a bit more senior than you, it's a really, really good leading indicator that you can lead and have a following, of others who want to come and join you. Are you doing something different? Now, everything is AI. Most of the pitches, kind of sound the same, but like 1 out of like 50 sounds different. And I'm just curious, when I receive that. Of course, if you have momentum, life, is easier. Like, I want to understand why somebody has momentum. I might not understand it, from the text or the email or the executive summary, but I'm a curious person who wants to find out. And then if I meet you, today, or I receive a note from you today, and then I receive another one in like 3 weeks, what has changed? Like, that rate of change also matters a lot.
Yeah, I find that when I talk to anybody that's building something, if you look at the people that are around them, and that could be a venture-backed thing or not, it could be, something that they're building, or like an Etsy store or something. But just who are the people? And I've over the years, like, if I meet somebody, I'm like, wow, that person's impressive. And then it's like, well, who did they hire? It's like, well, they only have 2 people, but like both of them are really impressive people.
Yeah.
It matters so much.
So much, yeah. Especially if you want to like invest or partner or go and work for like younger or first-time founders. It makes, honestly, like a hell of a difference when you see them be able to attract folks who have like 2 to 10 years more work experience than them. Because those are individuals who have like careers, clearly have other options. And they themselves, see something in the first-timers or younger founders. And that's a great leading indicator that there's something special about that founder.
How does venture capital restore the American dream?
One of the things is what we just discussed. You give chances to people who don't come from the well-known, established, places. And they themselves, because they can resonate, much more with their humble beginnings, and they understand, others like them. They build awesome products that can provide more opportunities, raise the standard of living, bring the cost down for their peers. So that's one of the magical things. Tech is a really good, force for good. And it brings the cost down for everyone, can provide us with brand new opportunities. And when you provide, the capital and the resources to individuals who come from anywhere in the world, then they can really build stuff, for their peers. Otherwise, we just see more of the same here.
You're an investor. Your wife's an investor. Is this like a multi-generational thing? You hope your children will be investors. Their children will be investors. Is this the future career of your posterity, or?
It's hard to know. Probably not, right? Maybe AI will replace us all.
Do you think?
And they will be better allocators than us. But yeah, probably not. Like I can't be prescriptive, with what my wife or my son or future kids, are going to do. Hopefully they will be healthy and we'll love them and we'll encourage them to do whatever they decide, to do. My parents didn't tell me what I should be doing. I'm very grateful, for that. One of the things I've learned is that, what parents want their kids to be safe and happy, and they also want their kids to stay around them. And as a result, the advice that a parent might give would be advice that doesn't empower the kid to take risk. And also, my worldview is formed on the back of the inputs and the lived experiences I've had myself. And the world is changing quite a bit, and I might lack the imagination of how the world's going to look like in 20, 30, 40 years. When my kid will come to age, to pursue new opportunities, it'll be unfortunate for him to receive, the wrong advice, from me.
That sounds like good advice. Do you feel like AI is going to replace a lot of the core jobs that investors do?
I don't know if they're the core jobs, but it's already empowering us to do a lot of things. For example, does it help with sourcing? Yes. Does it help with drafting a memo? Yes. Does it help with doing like competitive landscape, all sorts of like research, like analyst kind of work? Yes. Will it soon be able to help you put together, like models, track the companies better, do all this portfolio analysis work? Part of it is already good, Yeah. And then you can do other cool things like scan the internet for news about a portfolio company. Then you can reach out to them and opine, or whenever you receive an investor update and it says, okay, I want introductions to ABC. You can automatically now make some of these introductions. So yeah, things are moving towards the right direction. The thing what we're seeing now is you need to have fewer people to run like a venture capital firm than what you might need it, before. But over time, will it be able to do a lot more things? For sure. At the very early stage, though, there's like a personal element to it, and technology doesn't have feelings. And what differentiates, humans, from tech is we have emotions, we have feelings. So like if tech is going to have real intuition around, which kind of founder is going to have like much better potential than the next one, yeah, maybe, there is a future, where you can see tech, a tech, algorithm, make much better seed investments than humans.
Ultimately, it is a people business. It's the people that make these companies happen. It's the people that do the work, and maybe it's the people that empower the machines in some cases. But there's this thing with building that is, it seems deeply personal to the builders, that there's so many ways they can go, and you don't really know in the beginning, is this the kind of person that's going to persevere? Is this the kind of person that's going to push through the most difficult and horrible of things that are surely awaiting them along the journey?
Yeah, I mean, you persevered again and again across so many ideas and startups, and community building.
Ideas.
Yeah, but you have something clearly, right, in you that makes you keep going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, is there going to be one day an algorithm that somehow,
can figure that
find the 18-year-old you or like 25-year-old, you, and be like, oh, that person's much more likely to persevere?
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to be hopeful.
What do you think?
I want to be hopeful. As we also get much better, in psychology and some of the other, social sciences. Maybe, we could put some of these insights into use. Yeah. Sounds hard to me, but would I be an early customer of such a product? For sure.
Do you think there's a lot of talk about data being used to make investments with different firms and different people? Is that more marketing, or is it actually driving investment decisions already?
Depends who you ask. For some people, especially, a few years ago when it was differentiated, it was marketing and it was helpful to raise capital. For some folks who are like emerging, like managers, emerging firms, it does help you increase the number of opportunities you can surface. The data exhaust, of course, is becoming greater and greater because people say stuff online, or they leave, signals and data traces that you could use. And simple stuff like, it's like, oh, I'm updating my LinkedIn profile. Great, if you see it, awesome. But if you don't see it, maybe, like an algorithm can pick it up for you. Or, okay, this VC followed that other, founder, and 3 other VCs afterwards followed that same founder. Probably the founder's fundraising, or saying interesting things. Is the good idea, to know of that person? Could be a good idea to know of that person. So you see more and more of that stuff. But I would argue, especially as technology, is getting bigger. Like now, the last, few months, I've vibe coded a few of these, tools myself that before I was a paying subscriber of. This is kind of table stakes, I would say. And it's more about like creating a workflow system that works for you to do a lot of cool stuff. What's really awesome about AI is that you don't have to do career management with it.
What do you mean?
If you have like, the AI version, of like a junior developer, or like the AI version of a customer service, rep. Now, some of these, products can do bits and pieces of those people's, job and empower them to do other stuff that require human touch. You don't need to figure out, okay, is that, like product happy? Should I give it a raise? Like all the things that, we humans, need and can make each other, feel uncomfortable at times.
Just makes developing more simple, or what do you mean?
I think could make developing more simple, could make it, also cheaper, more accessible for more people.
Sure, cheaper.
Like I do think it's, now you can do more with less. And the idea that like, fewer people can build something really massive, I think it's an idea that, its time has come.
It is interesting to see companies raising now and in their announcements talking about revenue per employee, or you see that the growth curve is just insane on some of these companies. I thought like, we tripled our revenue, and we were like on that path of like the triple, double, or whatever it is. And I was like, wow, I remember having a very well-known investor, very famous, successful investor say, you're in the top 1% of all companies this year. And if I think about what we did that year, I don't think I'd even be like, we wouldn't even be considered. We wouldn't even get meetings with the same person today.
Oh.
And because the growth curves have changed and the expectations and with the number of people have changed, does it just keep going that way? Is that the new normal? Or are we in this like just unique period right at the beginning of AI where strange, unnatural things are happening, but that'll kind of level out at some point?
It's a very special time now, because there have been about 25 companies that have gone to $100 million of revenue or like more in less than 2 years. And they did show many of them with very little, capital. Of course, they might have raised, like a ton more, because VCs, and their LPs have been showering anything that sounds like AI. But it's a very, very, very special time. We'll see how the quality of this revenue is going to look like, because many of these, products, they do grow really quickly, the revenue base. But we'll find out if that revenue is going to be very sticky. We don't know. Then in many instances, the gross margins aren't great, but as things get cheaper, especially to run, all these models, probably that is safe to say it will improve. Is this a new normal? Hard to say, but we're going to see, a lot of new companies that can do new things that are like second order, implications of what we're experiencing today. That's going to be very, very, very exciting. It's very hard time at the moment to be doing the old stuff. If you're not an AI native company, if you're in flight, you've been like a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old business. If you're not a category leader, it's just very hard. And it's like a knife fight every single day, like to retain your best talent, that some of them might have FOMO to do something new, or an AI company can pay them more money to attract new talent, especially younger folks who are moving to SF and they want to do the cool new things, shiny objects, to attract the interest of investors. Like 70-80% of the investors, the only thing they do now is AI. They don't do anything else.
Yeah.
If you're not like an AI native company, you basically don't exist for them, which is like crazy, to say that.
Does that make those things now potentially very interesting and investable? Or
I think for like really, really early stage stuff, new things, yeah. Because if you can go after a new theme that no one is, pursuing, and it sounds like, wow, why would you even consider doing that? Go where everyone else is going. It makes it more investable. And then for assets that have scaled and are just mispriced, yeah, some visionary investors, or even potential acquirers will look really good in the next few years. Will look really good. One area that is underinvested right now is consumer stuff. Of course, you have OpenAI and ChatGPT. That's the biggest best consumer business of the last many years. But outside of that, there hasn't been going on in consumer. It's great news for anyone who's building in that space. It's really great news because you have less competition. You have more time to figure things out.
One of the leading vibe coding tools tagline is something like the last software ever built or the last product ever built. And with you investing in so many technical founders and being at the heart of very complicated and tricky products, like is vibe coding going to replace these mid-level junior engineers? Does it change the sort of makeup of company for like the people that are building companies? How do you see vibe coding entering into having an impact or not having an impact on highly technical teams?
Things are changing. Now you can have senior engineers who can do a lot more damage. Of course, the question is, how are we going to have new senior engineers a few years from today, right? So we need to rely on companies that will hire junior engineers today, train them, mentor them, give them the opportunity to get there. Otherwise, in a few years, we won't have any.
Sure.
But do I know senior engineers who before might have managed, other junior engineers, and now they're like, oh, I can do the same stuff or even more, with a leaner team? Yeah, many people are experimenting. Or do I know, engineers who are running multiple instances of Cloud Code at the same time and they can't sleep from excitement because they can be doing a lot more, faster for way less. Like, oh my God, if I'm not reaching, my limits every single day, leaving money on the table. It's a very, very, very exciting time right now.
I think some of our best engineers we've seen, or that I've seen, were sort of years past really wanting to manage and have these big teams. And now I think some of the best engineers I'm seeing are saying, what you're saying was just like, I don't want the headache of managing. I can just do what I want to do. And now I'm sort of amplified to do what I want to do by 5, 10x in some cases for those that are really leaning in.
No, it's really, I think it's really awesome. And especially, if you're mid-flight and you have technical debt and you can rebuild, your product from the ground up, that stuff is really, really exciting. And then often, a lot of these, code gen, tools can help you do the kind of work that you don't frankly want to do, or you don't want to let it hanging out there,
Yeah. After a very long time of working in different places, you're moving into a new phase of your investing career, leaving General Catalyst. What are you thinking about? Are you wanting to invest in the same kinds of companies, same kinds of projects? Are you thinking about the world in a different way now that you're kind of empowered to do, really, you could do anything you want?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been the end of an era for me. Very grateful for my time at GC. Of course, I'll stay in the industry. I want to work with some awesome friends of mine and help be part of many, many, new future household startups, brand names that will emerge over the years to come. So the idea for me would be to, of course, stay in the industry, continue to do early stage investing here in San Francisco, spend some time in New York as well, and be welcoming, to anyone who wants to build a startup in SF or in New York. But love what I do. I can't think of doing anything else. This time around, I just want to do it with a few friends of mine. And I'm very ambitious. I would take the ambition, that I saw that GC, had, and try to do things, differently. We're all products of the times we operate in. So I have that, in my mind, and will make the most of my time and that team that we're going to have and go execute.
Is the future still bright for consumer companies, or will there always be new consumer-based companies and products that need to be built?
I think right now the future is very bright for consumer. Yeah. But these things come in cycles. Why is it bright now? Have a new generation of builders, Gen Zers. You have a new generation of like consumers, Gen Zers and Gen Alpha. Both of these, especially the Gen Alphas or the younger Gen Zers, have a lot of time. If you're like a founder who can speak the language, you understand how to do marketing on TikTok, wow, you can get like millions, if not like, hundreds of millions, of views, for free. And as a result, distribution is not a problem for you. With AI, you can build things, differently. Also, it looks like, some of them are becoming a brand new distribution channel. Like you've seen what's going on with people now marketing themselves and like OpenAI and the rest. So yeah, I think the future is really bright. And every generation, then they want to have their own like brands and products that they really love. It's unlikely that people want to be using and buying from the same brands as their moms, across all the categories of products. That's unlikely. Or their older siblings. That's not the case.
Although many of the brands that were exciting when we were kids are now back. It's kind of strange, maybe not the ones we use today, but the ones that we used to use. I mean, you see like a Stussy, or you see, some of these like, my son walked in the other day, 16, and he was wearing a shirt that I could have for sure been seen wearing in high school, and or the type of jeans. It's like the jeans are, it's like many of these things repeat, but in a new fresh form, but the same ideas, the same.
Totally right. It's
things
like
that motivate
fashion,
us.
and there is, some recycling of ideas, and what is old can become, new again. And that's the beauty of like, consumer, building and investing. Can you get the timing right? Most often you're just a few years, like too early.
Yeah.
But that's something very beautiful. And if you can understand culture, things can go really, really, really quickly. And like for many of the consumer companies also, they don't require to raise a lot of money up front. If anything, raising a lot of money up front, it's a bad idea because it comes with expectations. You'll feel like the need to spend it. And you will do unnatural things, for your brand, give discounts or do all the other things that are going to spoil, everything, for you.
Outside of family, who's the person you most admire?
Alexander the Great. Have to say that as a Greek, of course, because he started from a very young age. His father had united all Greeks, which was a first. Till then we had city-states, we hated each other, so he had to conquer the rest. And although everyone was speaking the same language, Greece, as we know it today, was formed under his father's reign. But then, Alexander the Great, instead of like chilling, enjoying his time on the beach, being a young king after his dad was assassinated, he was like, we got to go big, didn't raise venture capital to do that. But he ended up, conquering the vast majority of the known world at the time. He made it all the way to India. Over 10 years, he managed to conquer so many places, collaborate with many of the local, leaders, introduce, currency in all of these places, make many people, speak Greek. Wow, what the guy has done, what the guy accomplished in 10 years, especially at that time with the means they had, ridiculously, impressive. And there's some places that even today, they have some of the descendants, who speak a version of a dialect of Greek, where you can find, coins and other artifacts from that era. Of course, we haven't found yet, his tomb. So yeah, that's one of the biggest
People
mysteries.
still looking?
People are still looking, yeah.
You haven't funded a group looking for the tomb yet, or you?
One day in the future, very likely I will, yeah. Haven't done it yet, yeah.
You want to be part of that?
I mean, if you're part of something like that, you can make it to eternity, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's the sad part about technology, because the ideas change so quickly. Like the biggest, ideas, the biggest companies, the biggest products are gone also very quickly. Whereas, if you're building something, maybe that building, will stick around for a long time. If you're conquering, other places, people will remember you for a long time.
Our social networks and mobile games have been long forgotten, and it wasn't very long ago.
Long forgotten, yeah. So that's one of the things, I ask myself often, because many people, as you know now, are like obsessed, addicted to Instagram and some of the other, messaging products. Will my son, be excited about that stuff? And is the talk of town, as with other parents? I think we won't have to worry about these things, We'll have to worry about new things.
Yeah.
Because the form factors will change. And like one of the things I like a lot about technology right now, especially with like younger users, is they use voice a lot more. Like we millennials will be texting, all the freaking time. But now, with AI, voice is really good.
Yeah. It's faster.
Yeah. And like I saw actually, one young baby do that. He got access to my friend's, laptop, and he was trying to talk to the laptop. I was very surprised that the laptop wasn't talking back.
Yeah.
I was like, makes a lot of freaking sense. Why isn't the laptop talking back?
Totally. And the way that kids interact with Alexa, for instance, it's so different. And it's true. When I see teenagers text, they don't really know. We had Palm Pilots and Blackberries. Like we grew up like learning how to text on a phone. They're like, why would I even do that? I just can speak into it and it works. It's so much easier, so much faster. And yeah, I think that's right. And actually there's a lot of good data on teenagers are I'm very optimistic about the next generation. There are obviously some huge challenges that they have that the world has created for them. I feel like it's less of our generation than the generation before maybe, but there's some huge challenges, but they're really smart about some pieces of things like social networking is one of them, where in some cases the usage is really going down amongst certain groups. Okay, maybe not with TikTok, but in other apps, I kind of feel like they can see through the garbage that's in there and the value, the value that doesn't actually exist. Yeah. And so we had to, when Facebook came out and all these other things, we're like, oh, this is so great. This has changed the world. Actually, like, it doesn't really add that much more value in my life, it turns out. And I sort of feel like they instinctively have figured that out, or they've learned it from seeing us using them and like, seeing it add very little value.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty again, of building in consumer. It's a little bit like to the previous idea we're discussing. It's a little bit like fashion, What's in vogue today won't be in vogue in the future. And like, if your older siblings or parents are on it, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to be part of it. It's not so cool. And you're looking for new things. It's very similar to like, I get an invitation right now to go to an event. If it's like, Divot, I don't even open it,
Sure.
I think it's going to be, some like really annoying, decadent stuff.
Right.
If it's paperless post, I might open it, but probably, will be more like mainstream. Yeah. If it's like Partyful, oh my God, immediately,
Well, with text view, it's a text message. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So like that, the same idea applies for like messaging networks and social networks that, like over time, you become stale and you become a utility and it's less exciting. And the next generation, they're always looking for new, fresh ideas. They want to differentiate themselves. They want to look cool. Good stuff pops up, And that's why also, on my side as an investor, whenever I see, any new consumer product becomes a massive hit among like the technorati, like the nerds, I'm a little bit more skeptical because we're not as cool, as the other normal kids. And when they would see, like a lot of the nerds, be on it, they're like, it's maybe a weird place, I don't want to be part of it.
If you had one idea you could implant into everyone in the world, what would it be?
Get started with pursuing your dreams, Obviously, that's not my idea or a big idea, but of any time in human history is now, the best time, to be building whatever you have in mind and become an entrepreneur. It's by far the single best time. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing that myself too.
What's the hardest thing you've ever accomplished?
Hardest thing I ever accomplished was to figure out my tricky visa situation, as an immigrant to this country. So I showed up grateful to the US government as a Fulbright scholar, but unfortunately, I couldn't stay and get a work permit visa. So I figured out a creative way, to manage to get a work permit visa.
What was that?
I made the case that my continuous stay in the US would benefit the US, Greece, and the mission of the Fulbright program more than if I were to leave the country, return to Greece for 2 years, and then be eligible for work permit. And that's part of the reason why I joined the venture capital industry, because it was back in 2010, 2011, when Everyone was trying to create jobs and build bridges, and it was a very optimistic time, similar to what we're living now with like AI and technology, but back then, different kind of flavor. And this helped me make the case.
What's your best advice for overcoming hard things?
Just get started. Don't overthink it. Just get started. Easy to say if you don't have personal trauma or like it's not like health related. But yeah, like there's something really special about like getting started, seeing the momentum or the effect, of your actions. And then you gain some confidence and you keep going, And then talk to other people who've been there before you. That's one of the things I like also asking founders. Are there folks who are like 1-2 years ahead of you that you compare notes with? Because those individuals can relate. Like anyone who was in the same situation as yourself, like a few months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago, reach out, email them. What's the worst thing that can happen? They don't respond to you, but maybe they can help you get unstuck or provide you some inspiration. And people want to pay it forward.
What accomplishment are you most proud of?
My son. Yeah, my wife and I are immensely proud. It was a journey for us to have a baby. We're very grateful to modern, science and the fact that we had an awesome, surrogate mother who helped us out. And yeah, immensely proud. Greatest joy of our life.
How do you measure your life?
I'm interested in your point of view. I had read, that book by Clayton Christensen, back in the day. And this, helped like influence some of my opinion. But like for me right now, it's like, am I healthy? Or my close relatives, and family members healthy? Do I live a balanced life? Do I feel loved and love, my family? Did I learn something today? Like every day, actually, I've programmed my wife to ask me, what did you learn, today? And I, of course, reciprocate. Can I go to bed, and sleep, peacefully without having any, crazy concerns in my head that I did something wrong? Yeah, these are some of the ways,
It's great.
And then, do I have the time to do the things I really care about? Like whenever I feel time poor is when I feel the most stressed.
If you die and you meet God, what do you hope he says to you?
If he notices me, because I would assume there would be a long line of many other people too, right? So I would be immensely, happy to get the attention of God. But in the case, this happens, to receive some positive encouragement, you're a nice guy.
Yeah, you were a good person.
That's it, yeah. Simple as that, nothing else.
And finally, what is the mark that you hope to leave on the world? This
is also evolving, but as of now, it's like really work with awesome, crazily obsessed, individuals to bring their dreams to life. And some of these, ideas will turn into awesome products that will turn into fantastic businesses and can pass, the test of time. So hopefully by the time I'm done with the world of investing, there could be, 5 to 10 large companies that will be around for a few more decades to come. But of course, after that, most of this, will be gone, It's not going to be like the Parthenon or the pyramids,
Right.
That will be around, for a long, long period of time.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Divot.
On next week's episode,
Stay focused on the goal. If you can picture and envision once you've done it, what it's going to feel like. And you have to be able to see it. And if you can see it, then you can do what it takes to work through it to get there.